everyone. Welcome to another epically cool edition of the Cybersecurity Matters podcast. I am your co-host, Dominic Vogel, and joining me, as always, is my good friend in crime here, Mr. Christian Redshaw. Christian, how are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. Today is Friday the 13th, but I was born on Friday the 13th, so I can't go by what the superstitions say on that. How are you doing, Mr. Dominic Vogel?
That certainly explains a lot about you. I didn't realize you were born on Friday the 13th. That's something that another brick falls into place there.
It's a rough start to life.
But, enough about our upbringings. Who's our guest today?
Well, today I'm happy to say that Davinder Sethi, who does business development for CIBC, which is one of the big five Canadian banks, is going to be joining us today. Hopefully we'll get into some nitty-gritty, practical business tips for small and medium-sized business owners today.
Well, I know he's a banker, so he's always very sharply dressed, even if he's doing it virtually. So looking forward to bringing Davinder in here momentarily. We'll have an awesome conversation with him. So sit still there and stay tuned, and we'll bring in Davinder in just a minute.
Davinder, welcome to Cybersecurity Matters.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Absolutely. So let's get into the types of clients that you work with. Can you tell us, from a banker's perspective, who are the typical types of businesses and organizations that you work with to start?
Yeah, so when we're working in the Metro Vancouver, Surrey market, we do reach different kinds of businesses. But what my team focuses on is on the small, medium businesses that are in Canada, and we can be any as small as like a boutique real estate brokerage to a multi-partner radiology business, right? So it could be an employee of 3 to 5 to all of a sudden 500. So we're scalable on our side, but what we do really is put the client at the center of it all, the business client, and we attach the right resources to make sure we're able to assist them appropriately.
Mm-hmm. Now, you obviously help them with their banking needs, and there's all kinds of financial aspects to that, and we definitely want to get into that. How do you help these organizations to get going from a startup stage and help them with their issues? What are the kinds of things that you do for them, and what problems are you finding that they have that you can help them with?
Well, we've been in a very unique situation, as we all know, with COVID-19, and businesses that were planning to start up in a traditional sense of brick and mortar, all of a sudden, they've had to pivot and either pause their startup, or if they were an existing business, pivot to an online focus, right? So we've been able to help the existing business clients out with our CIBC support, getting the government relief loans as well as the payroll relief loans for them. So, we assist with that with our existing clients, with any of the newer clients that we're onboarding. We've continued to work with them to see what their adjusted opening dates are, and based off of that, we're getting their loan release dates amended, so it better reflects that they're not sitting there with money in their account and all of a sudden they're paying for a loan when they're not even active. So we are making those adjustments, and when we're looking at the startup businesses, we really do sit down with them and do a full discovery to see what their current situation is, what they need, and how we can help them. So in many situations, it's as simple as creating have you created your business plan? Do you have your company incorporated? What's the structure look like, in terms of projections? So if they don't have that set up, then we go through a full list of a checklist to let them know, hey, this is what you need to do to get to this next stage. So we're there really just holding them throughout their onboarding process with us in business banking, as well as them launching their business.
Excellent. So, and obviously you guys are providing them their traditional banking services, their checking accounts, their savings accounts, their credit cards, all of those types of normal things. And then there's the lending component as well. In order for you to be a lender, there are some prerequisites that they need to meet. And I would imagine that you help these organizations, these companies with that. Is there an example of a smaller company that you've been able to take through that process who, maybe was struggling with those things, and it's kind of like, help us help you. We're going to help. We're going to go beyond just our banking responsibilities here.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, we're, small businesses are the heart of what Canada is, right? And we see that growth, quite a bit in BC and across Canada, where everyone's looking to become self-employed and making a living for themselves. And in one such instance, I recently, actually, as of recent as a month ago, I met with a client who was opening up a pet food store, a large franchise, well known across Canada. And, he had the approvals from the franchise head office to go ahead and open up in a location in Metro Van. And, he goes, okay, so, I'm going to need this kind of lending, and, I'm going to need this from my operating line. He's listing off the things that he needs from us. And I was like, okay, well, let's take a couple steps back here and do a proper, discovery on where you're at. And we realized he didn't even have his business plan created yet. And that was one of the key things that we look for. We need to know what the business looks like, especially a new one, the projections for the next 2 years. And we also need to look at what the tax implications look like personally, to make sure that it's going to be a strong business owner. So we took the steps to introduce him to a tax accountant, as well as a business lawyer as well, to make sure that he was able to register his company properly with BC Online, with corporate registry, as well as work out the business plan structure itself. So he knew what he needed exactly in terms of equipment purchase price, the kind of lending he required, what the business outlook looked like for at least the first couple of years, all this in place. And then we're able to take him to the next stage of actually starting the application process for different levels of lending and setting up the right cash management services as well, such as point of sale. And if he's going to have a large number of employees, with our payroll services that we have partnered with Ceridian, and obviously our payment solutions merchant, which is Global Payment Solutions.
Davinder, I know we've been building up to this point. Christian's asked a lot of these questions, but how important is it that small, mid-sized businesses see their banking provider as being a strategic partner? I know there's a lot of SMBs which may just say, well, they're all a dime a dozen, doesn't matter which bank we go with. How important is it that they change that mindset and see their banking provider as being a true strategic partner for their long-term success and growth of their organization?
Well, absolutely. And it is one of those things where traditionally people are like, well, wherever we got, our personal accounts, we'll just go ahead and talk to the same guy and get our business accounts open as well. It doesn't really work that way anymore, because the different banks offer different programs as well. For example, I was mentioning that pet food franchise. The pet food franchise program was only available at our bank as well as another one. This franchise program was not available at other banks, and this client did not know that until he met me, right? And that plays in a favor of what kind of lending you can do, loan to value, the terms of the interest, right? Because sometimes when you're just going to, for example, just down the street to your local credit union, sometimes if they don't have an actual program in play, they're going to charge you quite a bit more in interest, right? Same thing happens with us in the Big Five, right? If you don't have a specific program in place, they'll get you approved, but the terms of that agreement is what you really need to look at, right? What are you actually getting for what you're paying, right? If a doctor walked into our bank, we have a physician-specific program where we can do up to 100% loan to value. We're giving them prime for the lending, right? And we even give them sometimes staff pricing levels on their personal mortgages, right? So these are benefits that we give for certain professionals. And if the professional does not know that, if that doctor didn't know that, they might be paying more or getting less of a service for pretty much the same product, right? So it's really important to research your bank for the business specifically.
And on the on the sort of like the security side of things, maybe I know you and I talked about this before. Maybe you can walk me through some of the anti-fraud or online banking security measures that CIBC has in place in order to make sure that the online banking experience is as secure as possible for its clients. I wonder if you can walk me through some of the sort of the key features.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're looking at what we have available in our online banking, we have our Smart Banking for Business platform, which is our very well-known business banking platform. What this is a full-on dashboard for our clients where everything shows up in terms of the business accounts as well as their payroll and accounting services. We have a QuickBooks online linkage. So if your bookkeeper is using QuickBooks Online, they're able to sync up all the data that they have and receive all the data from their banking without having to do that extra phone call to the business owner, right? And talking about that levels of access, that's the biggest piece here for security. The business owner will set up their different levels of account authorizations. So if a bookkeeper just needs to be able to see certain things in terms of the QuickBooks or certain account balances, they'll have that level access. Any approvals for payroll or payments to creditors is a 2-level authentication that we have. And it's not that you have to go into a computer only. We have this at the fingertips with your mobile or with an RSA token where, you have the ability to approve the expenses for the business without having to go into the office. If you're on site working somewhere or you're at the office working away, you can just quickly, boom, do an authentication and the payroll and payments are approved. So we really make it convenient for the business owner, but we're also provide that 2-level authenticity. So you're not just, okay, someone has access to your checkbook and away you go, right? No, we have that checks and balances there.
Very cool. That's awesome to hear. I'll just flip it back to Christian, see if you had any more questions. I know we're in the home stretch here of the the conversation. Christian, do you have any final questions for Davinder here?
I do. So obviously you are helping your clients that are struggling with issues and you're helping them grow. You're working with business owners and business leaders. Can you talk about your experience on the success side and looking at the strong leaders that you work with as clients? What are some of the stories or the traits, the commonalities of successful business leaders among the clients that you have or have had a chance to work with? I
believe it's overcoming adversity. That's one of the key things that I've noticed. I know that's an oversimplified answer, but I'll give you a couple of examples. I had one business owner where, all of a sudden they're opening up their brick and mortar restaurant and all of a sudden they had to pivot when COVID happened. What does that mean? Well, they had to go to an online e-commerce model where all of a sudden they had an online store. They were looking at partnerships with, the different delivery services. And, they were saying that, okay, we're paying a lot in this X amount. We were able to introduce them to, other businesses that were doing e-commerce, and they're able to set up an online delivery service for them. So they were able to cut costs because they already had their delivery drivers for their occasional takeout. They just repurposed them to provide their own services. So they were able to cut costs. And we're able to provide that kind of advice, right, where we partner with them. We're not the ones giving that advice. We actually lean on our centers of influence, our network of professionals to help our fellow business owners. Because, at the end of the day, we want these businesses to succeed, obviously. And we do that, right? And, in certain situations, when it comes to reopening medical offices, what are we doing in that situation? Well, we're making sure that, if there's a way that for us to introduce these medical offices to PPE delivery services where their offices are supplied and ready to go for personal protective equipment and for their scheduled appointments, such as dental clinics, we are making those introductions and we're helping them along the way to adjust those costs, right? We have them adjust their business plans and see what additional lending they might require, and we'll get that approved if need be, right? And we're really working together with any government programs that we can to support these Canadian businesses as well. So we're not just looking at one avenue, right? And all these business owners, they're ready to listen, they're ready to adapt, and those that are willing to adapt and roll with the punches, as we say, they're the ones that are succeeding, and that's consistent out there across all our business clients.
Mm-hmm. So you'd say the common success traits is adaptability and the ability to overcome adversity, especially in a time like the COVID pandemic.
Correct.
Awesome. Well, for those business owners that want to reach out to you for help with banking or anything business related, what's the best way for them to connect with you online?
Well, they can reach out to me through LinkedIn if they have a professional site there. Just Davinder Sethi. You can email me, obviously, davinder.sethi@cibc.com. I'm pretty active online. You'll be able to find ways to connect with me, but it's as simple as reaching out to me through any of the social media channels, and I'll get back to you guys.
Awesome. So much appreciated.
Awesome. Well, for a banker, that was a really engaging conversation. I really, really enjoyed Davinder's insights there, and especially about how he was talking about how a banking provider can be a strategic partner for a small and mid-sized business. I think that was a really, really key point for Davinder to hit on, and I appreciate his insights and wisdoms in that. Well, what were some of your takeaways from that combo?
Yeah, well, you say for a banker, he was interesting. I come from the insurance world, and it's considered to be boring. So I've had the same thing said in my presence many, many times, and it's nice to be a pleasant surprise there. I really appreciated very much the same thing. And, not only are they taking fraud and cybersecurity seriously, which they're able to demonstrate, which is fantastic, but they're able to help beyond just the basic banking needs as a growth partner. And you can see Davinder's, care and his heart and attention that he gives beyond just his normal job description to help startups and other companies to get going and to effectively help the clients. Let him help them. Help me help you kind of thing. So I definitely saw that come through.
Yeah, no, it was a really, really engaging conversation, and very much want to take the time to thank Davinder and CIBC for allowing him to join us on today's podcast. And as always, we want to thank our loyal listeners and viewers for taking time out of their busy schedules to spend a little bit of time with us. And if you're interested in the other family of podcasts, please do check out the Conversations That Matter YouTube page for a slew of fantastic podcasts in all sorts of different genres. Until next time, be well. Be safe, be awesome. Thank you again for joining us on another edition of the Cybersecurity Matters podcast.